एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूर्त अजूनी सेवं गुर प्रसाद। तन तन गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी महाराज, तन गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहब सच्चे बादशाह। हवाए बंदगी आवर्त दर वजूद मरा, वगरना सो के चुनी आमदैन नमूद मरा। कित कित बिद जग उपजे पुरखा, कित कित तुक बिनस जाई। ना साजो न बाजो न फौजो न फर्श, खुदावन बख्श दे वो ऐशर। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। We are exploring the subject of ego today. Understanding the ego and its relationship to life is understanding life. As Maharaj says in the Asadivar, home bujhe ta dar suje. If we've understood ego, home, identity, then we have understood what is the door to the Creator. So we are trying to understand this subject of ego, of home. In simple terms, if we explain the ego, we will say our identity and what is its relationship to life. In fact, understanding the ego is understanding life. Understanding what is the Tat Gyan, the foundation, the fundamentals of life. And this is what will reveal to us our relationship to pain, to sorrow. How does the me get defined by the ego, and what is the ego? In the banner I have written there that it's the vehicle of the soul. So where is the soul, where is the spirit? These are all abstract questions for us now. We are not aware of these things. But it's not as though we cannot get aware of them. It's not as though life hides everything away from us and we cannot understand the depths of creation. In fact, it is more apparent than hidden. We are born in this ego. That is all we know. Judo Krishnamurti in one of his sessions says, if there is no I, then what is there? There seems to be nothing else. But Guru Nanak Sahib explains a different facet of ego, of I. And in that, we understand that the ego is our birth vehicle. We are separated from our source through the ego. Like a water droplet, it's separated from the ocean. And it's this identity of the droplet that is me. The ego is, its essential nature is to be understood. First of all, it is changing, constantly changing. Even if we look at our own lives, we will see we are always changing. From birth to death, there is constant change in life. In the physical form of the ego, the body, in our mind state, in our knowledge state, everything is changing and constantly changing. What we know of ourselves is also constant change. So, one thing is certain, that life is, through the ego, is all about change. But can change happen by itself? What I mean is, if there is change in life, can it have a relationship to something permanent? Can change be carried from one point to another without a permanence? Can I have a canvas which I paint over again and again, and there's a change, but the canvas is the stable part of the change? I change my clothes from one to the other, but the stable part is the body over which the change is happening. I can change my thought process, but then what does this change happen over? How does the mind travel from one thought to another without something which is handing over the baton from one moment to the next? So is there something more permanent which is allowing this change to happen? And this is the mystery of the ego. We perceive life through ego, and this is not a permanent entity. When I take birth, my ego is formed. It is conditioned, taught by my environment, by myself, by my questions. The journey of life conditions the mind. And in this conditioning, the identity is formed. But the question to be asked is that where does this ego come from? And where will it go? Guru Nanak Sahib in the Siddh Gosht was asked this question. Kahan te aave, kahan hai jaave, kahan hai rahe samai? Where does this human form come from? Where does it go and where does it find stability and stationary life, permanent life? Maharaj has used this word which is cryptic to us maybe, but it is all-encompassing, the order of creation, which Maharaj calls hukam. Our body digests food, there is a order to it. We breathe and energize ourselves and life moves on. There is an order to it. This is the hukam of life. There is an order to the entire creation. And even disorder is under some order. So Maharaj says that in whichever form the ego is, there is always an order around it. And that is the hukam of the Creator. We don't know this order. And the relationship between the ego and this order, the hukam, is what is the mystery of life. In the Japji Sahib, Maharaj says that when we go beyond the ego, will we know the hukam. When we know the hukam, then we will know there is no ego, there is no I. Nanak hukme je bujhe, taho mein kahe na koi. If there is no I, then what, Maharaj? What will become of me? What are the possibilities of this life here and ahead of this body? What is after death? These are the questions which relate us to the ego, to understanding the ego, the form of life which we know is all through ego. And so we know that the ego is impermanent. It is not forever. And in this way, I say it is a vehicle. Like we cross a river, we take a boat, we use the boat to cross the river, and then the other side of the river we leave the boat. Just like that, the ego is our home, is our vehicle from one side of creation to the other. One side of creation is where all change exists. And the other side of creation is where there is no change, but there is constant attention to the inner qualities of life, the inner nature of the man, of the mind. the subconscious mind, what does it contain in itself? That is the message across the river, across the moving form of life. In the Asadi Var, Maharaj covers Home very clearly. Guru Amar Das, Guru Angad Sahib and Guru Nanak Sahib have addressed this issue of Home and told us about what is the ego and what am I. In the second parable, the one which is found by Guru Angad, he asks this question, Home kitho upje, kit sanje mein jaye. Similarly, in the Siddh Gosht also, Guru Nanak Sahib is asked this question, Kit kit bid jak upje purkha, kit kit dukh binas jai. How does the world get created? This life of ours, where does it find its creation? And how does pain go away? These are two essential questions of life. In fact, the second is more important for us. We've understood this relationship between the ego and pain as a fear. So ego has some basic qualities with it. One of them is pain. And because we fear pain, fear is our second companion of ego. And the third one is desire. I am always wanting, I am always in need. And there is a reason for this desire. The fourth companion of ego is wandering. I'm actually seeking something. I'm trying to find something which is going to complete me, satiate me, give me stability, give me an answer to some of the bigger questions of life, loss, pain, death. These are the worrying questions which I carry with me. And they visit me in different forms, in different aspects of life. The mundane, day-to-day aspects which worry me have a direct relationship to death, direct relationship to pain, to loss. And I don't have a concrete answer, a permanent answer to these questions. They keep haunting me. So they are my fear centers. I fear them. I fear loss. I fear, and by loss I mean there will be different forms of loss. Money loss, wealth loss, loss of relationships, loss of status. This is directly related to death. These are forms of death we visit in our life. And then this other question of having many lives and within this life. When there's dramatic change in life, the enneagram, the energy centers change, and I find a different life. What is the question to who am I? And where will I go? How will I answer these four essential companions which I am not comfortable with? Fear, wandering, pain, and desire. Desire is my expression of my ego. In Buddhism, one of the essential initial aspects of Buddhism says that desire or Trishna is our reason for dukkha, of pain. And he says the essential nature of life is dukkha. And it is because we are in desire, so we are in pain. And then he goes to the third aspect of life and he says, there is mukti from this. There is freedom from this nature of desire and pain and home, ego, Trishna. What does Guru Nanak Sahib say about this? Kit kit bid Jakub je purka, kit kit dukh binas jai. How does the life come about? And how does pain go away, Maharaj? Home with Jakub je purka, naam visariye dukh pai. Maharaj says through the ego we find expression to life. Similarly, in the Asa Divar, Maharaj says, Haume kitho upje, kit sanjam mein jaye. Where does ego come about? Where does it come from? And how will it go away? Haume eho hukam hai. This is a part of order, the creation's order. Home is our element of life itself. Home eho hukum hai, paiye kirt firaye. And through this only, all of us are moving into action, into implementation, into life. If there is no ego, if there is no you and me, if there is no I, there is no life. Then the Creator is. The source is the same, will remain. Ad such. Ad meaning before creation. He was, the Creator was. Jugad such, when time is created, He is truth. And He will be. Hai bhi sach, Nanak hosi bhi sach. Then is ego false, Maharaj? Ego is a vehicle to transcend. The ego is the road to finding a permanent life. Home kitho upje, kit sanjam hai jaye. Home eho hukum hai, paiye kirt firaye. Home dirgh rog hai, and it is an intense disease if we stop at the station of home of ego and don't go beyond it. Home dirgh rog hai, daru bhi ismaye, and the healing also lies within it. By dropping the ego, we go beyond the ego. What is beyond the ego? And how do I go beyond the ego? First, let's understand what happens when we take birth. Guru Amar Das, in the Bani of Anand, the source mind. Anand is the source mind. The mind where there is a constant flow of positive Anand, of happiness. He says that this source mind is unconditional. It is where the ego is not, where I am not. So the play between the ego and the source mind is what Maharaj calls Naam and Home. Home, Naame, Naal Birodh hai. There is a conflict between ego and Naam and Anand. Dohe na bas ek thai, they don't live together. And to collaborate this, Guru Bhagat Kabir says, जब तुम होते तब हम नहीं, अब तुम होते हम नहीं, तू करता तू हुआ, मुझ में रहा न हूं, आपा पर का मिट गया. Maharaj says that when you are, I am not, and when I am not, you are. We don't exist together. So in this way, we never meet the Creator, but we merge with the Creator. Like this droplet of water, if we lose the identity, the circumference of this water and dissolve in the ocean, then the droplet becomes a part of the ocean. The only way in which we can carry ourselves beyond death and find peace, find rest, and find that security, stability, which we are always yearning for. Because there's a yearning in the ego, a yearning for happiness. We all want happiness forever. And we want it unconditionally. And we are seeking for that. That is the reason we are wandering. But where does this happiness exist? In which form of life does this happiness exist where I can find it and have it forever? In this life which we live through the ego, through the home itself is not stable. It's unstable. Heraclitus, when he talks about life, and he says that a man can never enter the same river twice. We are in a moving, changing environment. And we can enter the river once, but the next time it's a different river. So in this changing mind, changing ego, and fast-flowing changing world, where will I find happiness forever? Because it will change. Happiness becomes sorrow. And then sorrow again becomes happiness. This is the play of life. The rich becomes poor and the poor becomes rich. There is a constant change. So it is guaranteed that whatever state I am in will be different tomorrow. And then what about death, Maharaj? I am very successful in the material world. What will death do to us? Takes away everything we have. Our identity is gone. Where is the ego? It goes away. Ego has to be dropped before we move ahead into the life beyond. And what do we take beyond, Maharaj? We take beyond two things. One is the baggage which we carry. The baggage is the record of whatever we do, whatever we are, how we have defined the ego, and the repercussions from the ego. So, we often hear this word when we go into nature and they say, take nothing but photographs and leave nothing but footprints. Basically, don't leave anything wrong in this experience of nature, of this trek we go in. But ego has this nature that it leaves a footprint. Wherever it will travel, wherever I will go, the more I desire, the deeper my footprint. And I'm answerable for that footprint. I'm answerable for that state of, that condition of where I am and what I am doing. And this is recorded within my mind. Ego has a companion, a fifth companion. I mentioned 4: pain, fear, wandering, and desire. The fifth is death. And the sixth is this record which we create. So there are 6 companions to my ego. The record is of pap and pun. And these seeds I am sowing in my mind. These are my footprints which I have to pay for. Whatever be my tomorrow, I am writing it in my ego today. So these are the 6 dangerous companions of ego. And the stronger my ego, the more difficult my life, the more rigid it will be. Less flexible. It will be less joyous. I can have a lot. The more I have, the more fearful I will become. The more I stand to lose, the more I am fearful of the change which will come. Unless I have an answer to what is beyond the ego. I have an answer to, is there a Is there a next step to ego? How does this vehicle which I'm using, how do I use it to the best possible outcomes of life? And what are the outcomes of life? Maharaj says that there are two natural possibilities. We have figured out the relationship between life and ego. And in that we have been able to transcend ego. Then the life is different. This record which we are creating, it gets minimized or diminished or even goes away permanently. And I find a different environment to life. Different from these 6 companions I had. Completely different. Where there is no fear, no death, no sense of loss, and there is no desire. The reason there is no desire is because Naam has no desire. It satiates me. It fulfills all my desires. I am not hungry anymore for anything else I desire. Don't misunderstand this as physical needs, that they will also go away. I would not need food, clothes, or I will not need physical associations. This is not what that means. This is a Maya of creation where everything is changing. But within this Maya, if I have the ability to transcend the ego, then I can find that environment which is not so acidic, which is not painful, but which gives an environment of acceptance, of love, of a play of joy within me. Guru calls this Naam. Now try and imagine this. What Guru is saying in this answer to Haume Dirgh Rog hai, Daru bhi ismaye. Then the change of gear happens when he says, Kirpa kare je apni. This is a condition to how I can transcend the ego. Because the ego is all I know about life. This is all I have. I have been separated from my source mind, and while traveling this mind, I have conditioned myself, taught myself, learned from my environment. And as I have grown, I have become more and more rigid in my ego, as I am. The clothes I wear, the food I eat, I like this, I don't like that. I am a good dancer. I can sing well. I am a poet. These are all conditioned minds, which we have created, or we have found the energy within our mind to channelize it for these aspects. Everything which we do, everything we learn, everything which we have harnessed as we have grown is coming from the dhyan of the man. Wherever the dhyan will go, there we will go. If we have learnt medicine as a profession, so we have put our dhyan in that. The dhyan comes from my source mind. My man, if it is detached from all aspects of where I have committed energy to in life, if I take it inward, then the essential nature, the basic nature of the man is dhyan, is basically energy which is focused but not desiring anything. It is vibrant but not flowing in any direction. In itself it is complete. So Maharaj says that Kirpa kare je apni, Gur ka shabad kamaye. Now, to transcend the ego, Maharaj has introduced this new word called Shabad. What is Shabad, Maharaj? And why the Shabad? Now, essentially we use the ego and this form of the ego in everything we do in life. And that is the hell we have created for ourselves. Ghalib says in one of his shares, he says, फिरदौस में दो जग को मिला लूं या रब, सैर करने की कुछ जगह और ही सही. In the heaven of life, let me mix some hell. I'll get some more space to walk. This is the ego's desire. I want. And in this wanting, what do? We dominate the other. Freud says there are two ways in which the mind finds its expression. One is the sadist and one is the masochist. The sadist punishes the other, and the masochist punishes himself or herself. This is the expression of the ego in its wandering. Ultimately, this is where it lands itself, directionless and causing pain. Even the relationship between religion and me is dominated by the ego. Religion, if it assumed for a minute, let us assume religion is created to find our source, to connect with where we have come from, who is the creator, who is the master of this life, to find my peace, my solace, my answers to my desires. If that is religion, then I have vitiated religion with ego, because the answers to life are drawn from dropping the ego, not from making it more rigid. Being more flexible and being less rigid, we find the answers to life. But if we have made even religion, vitiated it with ego, that I am this religion, you are this religion, then we have found another wall to divide ourselves and create more sorrow and pain in the world. Poison that water which was nectar. Poison that medicine which was to heal us all. Because if we have gone beyond the structure of religion and connected to our source, then we will know that we are only one. There are no two. That all spirit is one. It is common to us all. So it doesn't divide us, it unites us. And we will know that inherently life is not about pain, but it is about Anand. In one of the scriptures in Hindu myth religion, they say, Sat Chit Anand. That which is truth, that is my inner mind, and that is Anand. But we don't find this Anand. That is the reason we are wandering. That is the reason this boat of the ego, we don't let go of it. Even when we find death, when we are crossing the river of life and going into the other aspect of life, we still want to hold on to this ego. We don't want to leave the boat. If we don't leave the vehicle, how will we go beyond life? Ego is our vehicle in this sense. It is our way of transacting in life, of living it, of getting to know life, getting to master life. But we become the slave of this ego. Because desire, wandering, pain, fear, death, this all encompasses us. And it becomes vitiated. This entire environment of the man, it becomes acidic. We find no rest. Where do we see that? We find this thought, constant thought moving. I was seeing a yogic presentation the other day, and this lady was saying that the thought is always moving, even when we are meditating. One of the things which is happening in this present times is that everybody is an expert. Without knowing, without properly researching, without going into the depths of what is creation, what is life. We give our expert advice. Let me give you an example. In one of the really nice shabads of Bhagat Kabir, which I hold very dear, he says, Ved kate biftara pai, dil ka fikr na jaye. Reading the scriptures, discussing, debating about life, worry doesn't go away. Tuk dam karari jo karo, hazir hazur khudai. If we can stabilize the mind for a minute, we will find the Creator in front of us, hazir hazur. We don't know how to find this hazir khuda. But he says, Bande khoj dil har roz. Na fir pareshani maahe. Now you see what Kabir is saying and what this lady is telling us. We are always wandering mind. It's not true. This change of ego, this change of the man, this change of wandering thought is happening over a stable mind, which doesn't move at all. Tuk dam karari jo karo. We have one aspect of our man which is completely stable. It's our thirghar. Guru calls it thirghar. The house within our man. House is where when we go away from work all day and we go home, we find rest at home. We have the least energy spent. There's effortless walking into the house because we know it so thoroughly. We don't spend energy in it. This is the word which Guru used in Gurbani, Sahaj, non-doing. Without doing much, without doing, we find stability. Non-doing. We are not wandering. We are not seeking. We are not fearful. We are not burdened. We are not desperate. We are not anxious. We are. In the talk last week about death, I mentioned Henry David Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau, in his book, The Walden Pond, mentions two states of the mind, doing and being. Doing is what we all know. We are always doing. We keep doing. We want to do and solve whatever limited ability we have. And the other is being. When I'm not doing, when there is no one to do. And he says in this Walden Pond where he lived for 2 years here, he grew his food, he washed his clothes. So this was the doing. And then he says there's non-doing, the being, where I relaxed or meditated. I just contemplated. And so he said, let go of all the doing of life. But our problem is, we are so used to keep doing that we can't let go of doing. We are so used to thinking all the time that we can't let go of thinking. And we don't even know that the thought which we are always thinking is energized by my ego, by my home. Home is my sieve where the drain of energy comes out from my man. It draws out the energy from the man. If I drop this home, the energy in the man gets stabilized. It gets held there. It doesn't have a flow outward. And this is what the Sufi says about going inward. This is what Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib says when he says, Kat hi khojo pai. Look within yourself. Don't go out and seek. Because when we are seeking outside, we are finding the expression of ego. So, even seva. Seva only happens when there is no ego. If there is an ego, then it is karam, it's an action, it's not seva. If I have taken a record of what I have done and said, I have done this, I have written it in the wall of the temple, the gurdwara, the church, the mosque, that I have given so many rupees for this pillar to be made. then I have created a record of the ego. Then I am claiming the account. And if we are claiming the account, then there is someone. There is an ego which is wanting our account. But seva is about letting go of everything. Sev karat hove neh kami. One who is doing seva, he is desireless. And then what does he get? Tisko hot prapat swami. Man beche Satgur ke paas. Sell this wandering mind to the Guru. Tis sevak ke karaj ras. And your life's solutions lie there. Maharaj says, Thir kar baiso. Rest in your mind. Rest the mind. And you will find your house within the man. And what will happen? Thir kar baiso har jan pyare. Satgur tumre kaaj savare. And Guru resolves your life issues. And what are these life issues? These are the 6 companions of the ego I mentioned. Death, fear, pain, desire, wandering. And there was a 6th I've forgotten, but I'll remember it. So Maharaj, my solutions to life lie in understanding the ego and going beyond it. And for that Maharaj has given me a tool, which also I don't understand. Maharaj says Shabad. And in another place, Guru Sahib says, Haume Shabad jalai. Shabad will burn the ego. It will dissolve the ego. This is a revelation to me, Maharaj. I read the part every day, Maharaj. My ego is not gone. I am not able to visualize this Shabad which Guru talks about. But this is our Guru, Maharaj. Shabad is our Guru. Without the body, if we are to meet Guru Nanak Sahib, we meet him in Japji. If we are to meet Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, we meet him in Jap Sahib. And where are the Guru? And where am I? And where is the ego? The Guru is ever present. So one another way, this is one aspect of Shabad. One another way in how I can dissolve my ego is love, prem. I don't mean physical love. I don't mean physical associations. I mean the love for the Guru, for the transcendent. Find love which is unconditionally available within our man. One of the natures of our man, which is beyond the ego, which Maharaj calls Naam. Its nature is love. Its nature is Anand, joy, peace, and a place where there is no loss. Maharaj, we can gain a lot of things in the physical world. We can earn a lot of money, we can find status, we can find wealth, we can grow a family, look after it, nurture it. All of this is fine. But if the essential brick stones of spiritual life are not figured out, then everything life will give us, it will take away. Think about it. Alexander said 3 things to his companions when he was dying. He said, 1, have all my doctors, physicians around me, around my body. So everybody knows that none of them could save me. Throw my wealth on the ground and show it to the people, so they know that all the money in the world couldn't buy me life. And keep my hands open so they can see I can take nothing away from this life. But we can take away wealth from this life. If it's not physical wealth, there is another wealth which Guru talks about. And what is that wealth? In the Japji Sahib Maharaj says that the Shabad is the wealth. Shabad is our mint where we coin wealth. Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata Tart Mahat, Divsarat Toi Dai Daya, Kele Sagal Jagat. Changyaiyan Burayaiyan, Vache Taram Hadur, Karmi Apo Apni, Ke Nede Ke Dur. This is the Karam world, Maharaj, ego world, where we find the physical life, we live it, where we do actions right, wrong, which are recorded, Karmi Apo Apni, Ke Nede Ke Dur. This is not another world. This is not the wealth which Guru encourages his Sikh to harness, to gather. That wealth, jinni naam te aaya, gai mushakkat kaal. The mushakkat, the earning, the toil of life is in the naam of life. Nanak te mukh ujle keti chutti naal. He says this is the another world in which we find our inner peace, our inner love, and meet our Guru. And then in the 38th paudi, the last paudi, he says that this is the taksal. Shabad is the taksal of life. Jat pahara tirad sunyar, ehran mat ved hathyar. Pao khala agan taptao, panda pao amrit tit taal. Kadiye shabad sachi taksal. Shabad is the mint of life. And how does this mint, the wealth, get created by Shabad? And how do we harness it? This is the essential nature of ego and understanding the ego. And the relationship between ego and me, ego and Shabad. And how does Shabad help transcend the ego, Maharaj? The ego operates in a wandering mind. If there is no wandering mind, there will be no ego. Think about it. When we just relax, when we don't have any needs and desires, when we are not angry, not upset, we just let go of everything. Where the ego is in its minimal. The mind is not wandering. It's at peace. Its energy utilization is minimal. Kadiye Shabad Sachi Taksal. The Shabad kados the mind. It chisels away the unwanted parts of our baggage and prepares us for a journey which is beyond the ego, Maharaj. Where the Anand of life opens itself. So how does this Anand reflect in its nature? How do we meet this Anand? Through Shabad. What is the method? Maharaj says that stable mind is an essential aspect of experience of Shabad. And the meditation on Shabad, meditation with Shabad, is what is Maharaj is mentioning in the Japji. The transformation of the man happens from the sunana, from the listening. As this one person says, I threw my questions to the sky and I got only silence. But listening to the silence, I became silent. And I became aware that there are answers in the silence of life. The Sufis call it the sound of silence. We are not used to listening to the sound of silence. We want to listen to words, to thoughts, to deeds. But the silence within us answers all our questions. The silence within our man reveals the secrets of life which we are yearning for, which we are wandering for, which we want to know, that happiness which we always desire. We are desperate for it. And transcendence, the sixth was death. The companions of ego, the six companions which are always with us with our ego. And if we have learned to drop the ego, then these companions will go away. And we will find some new companions. In that inner world, there is Sahaj, there is Santok, Tripat Agai, and fulfillness, satiation. Beyond death, Sada, Nanak Bhakta Sada Vigas. And there is no interventions by anyone in that state of the man. Nobody can intervene and block this mind of the anand which is coming to it. It can't be taken away from me. In the ego world, everything I have, it will be taken away from me. It's the basic nature of life. So, how do I go beyond the ego? What is the nature of this Shabad that it makes me transcend beyond the ego? Maharaj, let's focus on some basic aspects of what Guru Nanak Sahib says in the Japji. He says, Gaviye suniye, man rakhiye pao. Sing and listen. So basically, my man has an essential aspect, which is the dhyan of the man. Like in the Japji, he says that Munda Santok Sarampad Cholli. The Munda, the Santok is the satiation, the lack of wandering, desireless mind. And the effort, Saram Pat Cholli. Dhyan ki karo vibhut. And dhyan is our basic nature of our man. If this dhyan, which Guru calls the surt. So these are different words which we use, which we need to understand what it means. So like we prepare ourselves when we go into a vehicle, we sit in the car, we put the keys, we start the engine, we look around, and then we move the car. We start the engine of the man with Shabad. We first relax the mind. And we listen and we sing or we say the Shabad. Maharaj, egoless mind is like a mind without any feet. It's a flying mind. It's not got any fundamentals left to which it was conditioned to. We are all conditioned to live the ego mind. I am whatever my name is. This is what I am and this is me. This is my nature. This is how I live. This is how I know. These are all my conditionings. And they are fine. As long as we live this life and use these conditionings, there is no harm. But life is not about the transient. It's far beyond that. Life is an opportunity to know that which is permanent. Sada Vigas. And where there is complete freedom from dukh and ego, pap. The doer is no longer there. So Maharaj says that when I am You are not. When you are, I am not. How do I reach this state which Kabir Sahib talks about, which Guru Sahib talks about? The story of the punch. Maharaj says the suniye and the maniye will take us into punch. So, whatever part we are doing, whatever other recitation we are doing, the more carefully and with attention we recite the Bani, with all our energy, all our strength. Guru Arjan Sahib says, Prabh ki ustat karo sant meet, savdhan ekagar cheet. Very carefully, without wandering mind. This is what it means. Ekagar cheet, thoughtless man. So if we can do this, whatever way it is, we learn this method, then we transcend the mind. Suniye maniye man kita pao, antargat tirath malna. गाविए सुनिए मन रखिए पाओ, दुख पर हर सुख कर ले जाए. This is the meditation of Shabad Maharaj. Shabad is Amrit. Amrit is what we are seeking, happiness forever. And how do we meet this Shabad? We meet this Shabad in stable mind. Aaron Mat, Ved Hathyar. Aaron Mat is the anvil which a goldsmith uses to hammer his utensils, or ironsmith. The anvil is the most stable part of this effort. So stable mind. Effort is important. So if we are lazy, then we need to do something about it. I think the nature of life, the understanding of the meditation of life, of Shabad, has to do with this connection between my man and Shabad. Surt and Shabad. That's what Guru Sahib is again and again saying. And then he says, if we are able to do this, then we transcend the ego. We transcend death, pain, loss, sorrow, wandering. All the 6 companions are gone. But we can live it, still the physical life. Nothing stops us. Nothing stops us from living this physical life. Now, Shabad by itself is a very big subject. So, I will take it up in the next session, which we do. Because Shabad is not so completely understood, Maharaj. It's a transformative energy, transforms the mind. Kadiye Shabad Sachi Taksal. It's the wealth creator of the Sikh. And for this, Nadar, grace, Kirpa, Karam, meeting the Guru, giving up the mind. कंचन से पाये नहीं तोल, मंदे राम लिया है मोल. All the gold of the world I can't buy it. Man बेचना है. Give up my mind, ego mind. Give up my wandering mind. Give up all attachments of my life. And this is done how, Maharaj? Bhagat Kabir has a beautiful Shabad, and he says, Sagal tajeen gagan dauda. I have dropped everything, all my identities, all my attachments for that minute, and my mind is free. Gagan in the Dasme Dwar. Dasam Dwar is again a subject which I feel needs to be understood, but more than understanding, practiced. So if I practice the Shabad, if I do the Mool Mantar, for example, or any other Shabad, so intensely that all the world is gone and only the Shabad remains. In the Guru Granth Maharaj says, Bani Baniye. This is what it means. There is no me left, only Gurbani. The man thought is gone, wandering is gone, desires are gone, fears are gone, the pain is gone, and only love remains, Maharaj. Guru is love, Maharaj. If we can associate this thought aspect, not only in imagination, but in reality. And how does that happen? For this, we need to make some effort. And in my view, waking up in the early hours of the day, 3 hours before sunrise, and going inwards will help us a lot in figuring out this theory of Shabad and singing the Shabad in complete darkness. We can say Guru, ironically, all of us talk about Guru in historical forms, but Guru is living energy, constantly available. Guru has not gone anywhere. He is ever present. And we can feel that energy, know that energy, live that energy. And Shabad is our vehicle to transcend the ego, to drop the ship, the boat, and go to the other side of the world. Shabad is our stable mind. So what is that man over which change is happening, Maharaj? One day I'm angry, one day I'm happy, one day I'm good, one day I'm bad. What is this change happening over? Where is that stable mind? We have not knowledge of that. That is the reason we are all seeking, confused. So Maharaj, this is the nature of our ego, understanding our life through the ego, and we transcend the ego through Shabad, which is what Maharaj says in the Asa Divar. In the last session, we had to talk about death, and there were some questions. I would like to take that up one. So this one question is a difference between self-respect, ego, and self-respect and ego. Well, so this is how we mix two planes, the physical plane and the spiritual plane. Of course, we have to have self-respect in the physical plane. The rules of the physical plane are defined by the conditioned mind. And there is a right and wrong, good and bad. They all exist in the physical plane. But we are talking about a spiritual life where the ego is our tool which we are supposed to use, but we become a slave to the tool. That is my issue. That is the issue we are trying to point out. That the ego which we were supposed to use and transcend and know and live this world, that becomes our master, and we become the slaves. And ultimately, this vehicle which we were to use and cross the life, we get stranded in that vehicle only and don't leave it. And we are in pain, we are in sorrow, we are disturbed, we are upset because we can't cross this river. So, self-respect, self-esteem, these are necessary aspects of living life physically. If we have no self-esteem, if we know the example of Guru's life, we will understand. When in Anandpur Sahib, one of the Pahadi Rajas asked Guru Maharaj for all his good gifts which were given by the Sikhs. Now, Normally a person would say, you're a sadhu, why do you need to? But Maharaj says, these are gifts of the Sangat. They don't even belong to me. And I can't partake them and give them to you. I can't do that. And this first war was fought over this issue. And Maharaj didn't give it up and say, no, you take everything. That's not how we live. We live the physical world in the physical rules. This is about the inner mind. The ego has a reason. That's all life is about. Without ego, there is no life. But these things which we are discussing are going beyond the ego, going beyond the physical life which we have. So let's not get confused. Let's need to find a balance between our ego, living the physical life, and the spiritual life. Everything has a utility. Everything has a tool requirement. Fear is also a tool. There's nothing negative about it. But what is happening is that when something overcomes us and dominates us to a point where we have completely lost control and direction, then life is vitiated by these emotions. Rather than we use these emotions, we get used by them. Do karam in my current life, janam, have an impact in my next life? Karam has an impact in the next moment we live. It conditions our mind. Our mind is dominated by our karam. And the moment we do any karam, the reflection of that happens instantly in our mind, and we get transformed or changed by whatever we are doing. That is how seva impacts us. When we do selfless seva, it transforms us within us immediately. Will it impact my next life? It will impact every moment of our life, here onwards. Suppose I have done lots of sins in my current life and I do good deeds. Will I have to bear the consequences of my sins of this life? We discussed this aspect of Sajjan Thag, Angulimal. These were people who murdered people. So I assume murdering and killing people, robbing them is bad. But Guru Sahib transformed them. They became saints. Gautam Buddha met Angulimal and he changed forever. So the solution to whatever state we are in is to find solace in Naam. In Naam we will find solutions to all our problems, all the wrongs or rights which we have done. Maharaj says that Lekha Katuna Chutiye, Hum Khin Khin Pulanhar. This record will never get erased. Bakshanhara Bakshade Nanak Parutar, until we find the Bakshish, the grace, and that is in Naam. And so he says, Vadpagi te jan ko jano, jo har ke gun gaye. Consider that person blessed who sings the praises of the Creator. That means who is focusing on Shabad, on the Creator. So if we are fearful of our karmas, we can use this energy. That is what the 38th body is telling us. Transform the fear into love. Pao khala agan taptao. Make the fear your agni, your energy. And do tap with Shabad. Panda pao, and it will become love. Panda pao, amrit tal. And there we will find the amrit of life. Kadiye Shabad Sachi Taksal. Whatever our state of mind, find the love in the Shabad. So Maharaj, there's another question. As we are working people with attachments of Maya are given by Vaheguru himself. That's absolutely right. So many things are all confusing and difficult Just tell me one simple thing which we can solve and dissolve, that is, which finishes me and merges in Anand. One thing which we need to consider is, are we ready to give up the me? Because the problem is the giving up the me. If I am able to give up the me, only then I am ready. And if I am able to give up the me, then where is the issue? We are not prepared to give up the me. We are not worked towards it. We are holding on to the me and saying, can I give up the me? So, if there is one simple thing which we need to do, which we need to use as a straw in this sinking world, I'm in this river and I'm drowning. One thing which I need to do, gaviye suniye man rakhiye pa. This is what we need to do. Sing and listen to the Shabad. Then the pain will go away, the sorrow will go away, death will go away. It's all lying in the Shabad. The Shabad has multiple dimensions. It has multiple impacts on our inner mind. So, hold on to the Shabad as your last straw of life, and it will awaken you forever. Transcend the changing world. Transcend the pain of life, Maharaj. So don't worry about anything else. If we can commit our energy to Shabad, to singing the Shabad, and with Dhyan, that is all it needs. But then Dhyan needs to be nurtured, learnt, created with Sangat. Try and do this in the early hours of the morning. When the world is asleep, awaken your man to Shabad. Ji Maharaj, there's one question which has come here. Of Hartej. To become limitless or to think out of the box, one needs to dream. So what is the difference between daydreaming and manifestation? The mind is far more than just manifestation. Manifestation, dreaming, this is all the thought world. The Shabad takes us far beyond the thought world. We don't imagine this. This is the reality, which is more real than the physical world. And what is that reality? Jagrat, Supan, Sukhopat, Turiya. Let me give these three states from what you are mentioning: dreaming world, imagining a dream, targeting a dream. Meeting the Guru is dropping all your thoughts, all your questions, being shattered out of your imagination into the real world of life, where there is no dominance of the physical world. The spirit takes control of life, where the love is all-encompassing. And it draws us into an inner reality, which is far more powerful than the physical reality. So where Jagrat is the physical world we live, Supan, the dream world, Sukhopat, the deep sleep world where we have no mind. Where subconsciously, unconsciously, the mind goes into its inner reality. And the Turiya is transcending all physical reality. The Turiya is where the Guru is telling us to go. where even the senses of the body on us controls are gone. It doesn't dominate us. It's called Bade. So Maharaj, imagination, manifestation, these are modern idioms which people are using, but these are in the thought world. What we are talking about is far more real than the thought world, because the thought world is constantly changing. There is nothing stable about the thought world. Today we are thinking something, tomorrow we are thinking the opposite. But what is that man of mine contained within itself, which is full of anand and joy? Where is that man? That's not a dreaming or targeting world. That's the real world, real anand. And how does that come? That comes from meeting the Guru. Sab mein jyot hai soe. This te chanan, sab mein chanan hoye. Everybody has the potential of light, anand and love within itself, within the man. And how does it come forth? How does it find expression? Gur sakhi jyot pargat hoye. Meeting the Guru, this inner light gets revealed. So the potential within the man gets revealed meeting the Guru. And how do I meet my Guru Maharaj? Shabad. Shabad is the Guru. Guru Nanak Sahib Maharaj tells us, Shabad Guru, Surt Tun Chela. Shabad is the Guru and Surt is the Chela, the Sikh. And the Surt is what I need to have. That's what's lacking within us all. We don't have that stable mind, Surt, the Ekagar Man, the Ikchit. When we find that we don't need to manifest, then we live the reality. We live the Anand. All it needs is some space of stable moments of stability, and the Shabad will take us into a different world. The real world, which is living beyond death. This world is not real. This world is temporary, transient, changing. It is not going to be forever. The Sufis called it the Sarah, where we stay overnight. Eh jo duniya seher mela. This world is a meeting for some time. Dastagiri na hai, nothing comes in the hand here, Maharaj. Ji, Mandeep ji.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
जी there is a question constantly going in me, like if I am walking to the path of Naam, does it make any difference if a person gets hurt by any of my action or any talk we've shared? There is a problem, like what I feel is that the moment I say no to somebody, obviously the person will get offended or he may get hurt. So the actions, do they come in the way of Naam or it's not like that?
No, Naam is its own governance. And the physical world, we have to say no sometimes, and some people will get hurt. That's how it is. We keep saying yes to everyone, then we have no self-esteem left. Then everybody will walk over us. The rules of
it may take
rules of the physical world are governed by the physical senses. Naam is where there is no such thought, where we heal the man, where we solve the problems of the mind. When he says, Sant jana mil har jas gayo, Kot janam ke dukh gavayo. For the last 1,000 lives which we have harnessed the pain, the sorrow, the wandering, the confusion, all of it is gone by sitting in Naam. And that is our healing. But in the physical world, we have to say no to some people. And that is how it is.
So that thought should never come, like if the person is getting hurt or no.
Make these independent of each other. The physical world has physical rules. The spiritual world has spiritual rules. Don't let one mix the other. The thought may trouble you. I said no to them. Will they feel like this? But you said no because there's a reason for it. So it's fine. You took your calls. And if you're wrong about it, then you reassess it and you can go back. Or if you feel you're right, then you're right. But the spiritual world is when there is no such attachment left. It's all gone in Naam.
Anji. There's one more question. What we see today's world, like most of the people are into thoughts and are not able to get out of it. So the people you mentioned, Sajjan Thug, Goda, Rakshas and all, were they not into thoughts that once gurus have said something and they just left themselves? How is it possible?
This is the power of the Guru, and it is absolutely possible even now, even today. He says that tin manas te devte ki kartana lagi var. Jin manas te devte ki. From a human, he becomes a devata. Who makes this happen? Guru. Kartana lagi var, instantly. The transformation of the inner mind from the ego mind to non-ego mind is instant, not a long-drawn story. Shabad is immediately impacts and makes it Amrit. But we need to meditate on Shabad. And we will find that opening somewhere. Make it part of our effort of life. A daily effort. गाविए सुनिए मन रखिए पाओ दुख पर हर सुख कर ले जाए.
Thank you so much.
There is a transformation which happens through the Shabad from the ego mind to non-ego mind. Bhagat Namdev talks about it in one of his Shabads. मुको तार ले रामा तार ले मैं अजान जन तरबे न जानू बाप बीठला बांधे सुरते नर हुए जात निमुख में सतगुर बुद्ध सिखलाई. नर ते सुर हुए जात निमुख में. From a human being to a devata within a flash of an eyelid. Satgur Buddh Sikhlai. This is the Guru's meeting the Guru, this happens. Narte upaj swarg ko jeetyo. So aukhad mein pai. This is the Shabad's impact on our lives. It transforms the man into Anand instantly. Maybe next week we will talk about Shabad and how this happens.
But as you mentioned that we have to be present when the Shabad is there, like Guru is there, we have to be present there, then only the meeting can happen, right?
Stable
so
mind.
If the person is
stable mind, yes.
So if the person is a criminal or he's doing all such things, how can he be present? He would always have that fear that I may get caught and all that.
That is the person. But if he is willing to transform himself and he gives us this ego in front of the Guru, then the Guru transforms the man. Obviously, it is the dialogue between Angulimal and Gautam Buddha is about life. He says, go and ask your children, will they partake of your sins? Will they be party to it? And then he comes back and he bows to Gautam Buddha and he says, I accept you as my Guru. And then only the transformation happens. The problem with us is we are do-gooders. We don't want to give up the man to the Guru. This is our problem. And we are worse than Angulimal in that way. But obviously Sajjan Thug gave up his man, gave up his control over himself and said, Guru, you are my only way, you save me. Then only this will happen. Obviously, that will require stable mind also.
Ji.
Ji.
Thank you.
Welcome, Maharaj. Manpreet. Is the human birth new lease of life? If so, do we have our past karmas which has defined our present journey and our living? The human birth is, present birth is our opportunity, and the past is always with us. It never goes away. But we don't worry about the past. We have an opportunity today. Let's use it and use it in Naam. As you mentioned, our karma is creating baggage and getting recorded. Yes, it always is recorded. We are today what our karmas are. And one of our karmas away from karma is the nadar of the Shabad, of the Sangat of Shabad. That is more powerful than all our karmas. Kot janam ke dukh gavaye. Everything we want, we can get through Shabad. Maharaj. So did we carry baggage of previous life also in the human birth? Yes, we did. Of course we did. All our past associations, they are all present. They are not gone anywhere. They will only go away when we find Naam. There's one Shabad from Omkar Bani. Kardar fir thaki bahut tere. From door to door I am wandering. Fir thaki bahut tere. And I am tired. This is Guru Nanak Sahib Hajur. Jaat asank ant nahi mere. So many forms of life I have gone through is limitless. It's infinite. Asank, countless. Ant nahi, no end to how many lives I have lived and the baggages I have carried. Kete maat pita sutatiyan. How many mothers, fathers, daughters I have had. Kete gur chele fun hua. And so many gurus I have had. And why these gurus didn't have impact? Kache gurte mukt na hua. When the guru is not complete, kacha guru doesn't find any mukti, any salvation, is still wandering, is incomplete. Keti nar var ek samal. The whole creation is the nar, the woman seeking the God, the Creator, the one who looks after all of us. Gurmukh maran jivan prabnal. The Gurmukh has, through this life of death and birth, has God within himself, as dhyan in the Shabad. And so marna and jina gets resolved, death and birth go away. This toond kare mein paya. We have searched everywhere. We are seeking this solution to life outside all the time. But we can find it only within ourselves, within the man. Kati khojo pai. Mel paya satgur milaya. And the Guru solves this problem of life. And we find to meet the Guru. sometimes actions of karmas under control of mind are contradictory to the spiritual practice of a person. Yes, it can happen. So what? Get up and go back into Naam. To tenda digda chadda ja. Don't lose heart. The mind is full of traps. Get up and let's walk again. We have to go to Naam. We may have pitfalls, we may have problems, we may have obstacles, we may have done wrongs. Get up and start doing the right thing. Is there two different records of spiritual efforts and physical karma? The physical karma are part of our ego world. If we are able to drop the ego, the physical karmas are gone. And meeting the Guru, the karmas get resolved. This is one question which Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Maharaj's life. This Peer came and he asked Maharaj, what is the need for Guru? If everything I am doing, I have to pay for, then what's the need for Guru? Maharaj says, get the stamp. You put stamps. We put stamps on the paper. So he says, you see the stamp. Actually, the stamp is opposite. When it comes on paper, it becomes in the right form. If you see the stamp, it will be opposite. It's a mirror reflection. So Maharaj says, this is opposite. But when I put it on paper, it becomes corrected. It becomes the right form. Like that, when we meet the Guru, all our karmas get addressed. But we need to meet the Guru. When meeting the Guru requires us to give up our mind. Man beche Satgur ke paas. Te sevak ke karaj ras. So give up the moving mind. Chalte ho man rakhe, amrit chakhe. Ji Maharaj. So we will meet tomorrow, today's session. We end today, and I hope we have answered the questions, and if there are any, we can take them up tomorrow. The ego world is a transient, temporary world which Shabad helps us resolve. Maharaj says, Kirpa kare je apni ta gur ka shabad kamaye. Nanak suno eho jano, it sanjam dukh jaye. This is how life's pain goes away. So the 6 demons which are with us in the ego world are transitory, are transient, temporary, not permanent, like the ego is not permanent. Through Shabad and Shabad Guru, we can resolve this. Kadiye Shabad Sachi Taksal, jinko nadar karam tinkar. Nanak nadri nadar nihal. So we can say the Anand Sahib and then we conclude the session. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Thank you.